Welcome to Flux Bug Scrub.
Hi,
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Pretty good. It's early Wednesday morning. But I got my cup of coffee, so I'm in good shape.
Hi there. Hi. How does this recording work? Like as soon as you join, it started recording?
I set this one up that way, and I'm not sure if I like it, but I won't forget to start the recording. Plus, we get more candid shots, so it's probably good. Okay. Yeah, I think I have a problem with just getting right into it too. So it might be better. Sorry, I don't really just want to share that one window. Share this screen. Okay. Cool. So I noticed at least 2 bugs with the bug scrub format spreadsheet. And this one I think is more serious down here. So first of all, I did a little filtering. And I think that it might be a good idea to work on only discussions that have never been answered. And I think that's what I have here. And then the second thing I wanted to note is that some of these status things have been copied wrong. This says some note that I found on a previous version of the bug scrub. Here, this looks like the first time Flux contributor on pull request number 147 for image reflector controller. But if you go up to the next one, now it's on discussion 147 for Flux 2. So that's not great, but fortunately there's not that much information in these status columns, so I'm not really that worried about it, except I want to fix it. But that's not really what we're going to do here. We don't really need to worry about it. So
a few weeks back, you told me about this, the scripts that generate this, right? Can you remind me which repository it exists in?
So it's not a public repo, and part of the reason was because I didn't want to make, well, I'll just say I'm embarrassed about the shape of the code. I haven't really tested it properly. I know lots of cool things you can do for testing in Ruby, but I'm mostly just using external libraries. So that's how it starts, right? You say, I'm not really writing anything but glue code. And then the next thing you know, you have a big untested bundle of, anyway, I don't want to put that on the community because that's mine to deal with. So, but if there is a request, I would be happy to open it up or even just share privately.
But you can have it under your personal GitHub, just to have a look.
Yeah, but if it's private, if it's private, then no one has to deal with it. Even if they really feel ambitious, they don't have the choice. So that's really the reason I did it this way. It's really just an opportunity for me to learn more about GitHub's API. That's so there's a nice micro test for my discussions module here, Bug Crush discussions, and we can look at it. Maybe I'll just see the line of code that needs to change and we can fix it right now. But I mean, I'm really embarrassed about the state of this code in some ways because I've never used the GraphQL API before. So this is how I handled paging, because I knew there were 5 pages worth of results, and GraphQL doesn't make it so easy to get page data. You kind of have to get the first page and grab the cursor from it that points to the second page and so on until you've got all the pages. So I mean, this code is garbage, but it's not hard to follow until you get to the GraphQL itself. And this is where you just kind of describe the objects that you want to get back from GraphQL in full excruciating detail. So this is kind of like the opposite of a SQL query, because you can have nodes that refer to other nodes and you can reach through them. So this is a join, I guess. Your page info struct. I'm not really sure because it might actually be inside of discussions rather than a, yeah. Nodes are a join, no. Edges, here we go. So you take that and you jam it into an object, and also not very proud of that because I know that there's actually a way to get objects directly out of GraphQL, but I just don't know GraphQL well enough to do it. And that's all the code for the discussions part. But like I said, I'll figure this out eventually. I know that those are two small bugs and they're not really going to impact us that much. We'll have to zero out this column when they're fixed, but that's okay. We're still closing bugs and making progress as we go. So that's, you know, accumulating the status is not the important part. That's the way this is built. So anyway, we should have a list here of only discussions that have never been answered. And I don't know if we should try some from the bottom and some from the top. That's kind of how I feel, because the oldest discussion that was never answered seems like a good place to start. But if you get too far into old discussions, you know, we're only talking about things that might not even be relevant anymore. So
in the past few weeks, we have been focusing on the new things. So let's do the old things this way.
okay, we'll start from the bottom. Okay, integrate with GitHub deployments. Okay, we're playing with the idea of how to use GitHub deployment API to drive deployments in a GitOps way. That does not make sense to me off the bat, but that doesn't mean it's wrong. Okay, so it just shows what status of what commits are deployed is the idea. So
I think this is related to GitHub Pages. Have you seen GitHub Pages deployment?
okay,
On the right side of your repository, it will show you the pages deployed, right? So I think that is the deployment API in work.
is that like the same as checks, or is that
No, it's not
separate?
part of the check. I think it's a separate thing.
Do you know of
When you
any of
merge
these?
something.
Do you know of any of these that are actually deployed in a public repo where we could just look at it real quick and see what they look like? Because I think I
Maybe
know
the
what this.
Flux website must have it. Check. No, it's not there. I've seen it in many places. You'll see an icon of a rocket on the right side.
Is there one on the page? I don't see it.
It's not in the website repository.
Oh, I thought you said the website.
I checked, it's not there. Which project has it?
Let's just see if they have a nice page we can look at. So I don't really know what this person is asking for. Because Flux is going to handle the deployment based on what's in the commit. This might make sense. Michael promoted it to a discussion rather than shut it down. So I kind of want to assume that he took a look at it and thought it was worth discussing. But I don't really know how this works. So it's supposed to tell you about active deployments of of the thing. And if it's a website, our website wouldn't have one, right? Because we use Netlify, and so we're not really deploying a container.
I can't find any repository now. I have seen that before.
Well, I'm just going to respond that I'd like to know more about deployments API.
Maybe I'm wrong. I found one that I was thinking about. Web paste. How can I share a link with you?
Sure. Chat?
I'm on a different device here.
Do you get a pop-up when I send a chat message, let you get to the chat?
So this is on my iPad, but I have the link on a different device.
You could read it to me if I want to type it in. Is that going to work, or is it
I can paste it
long?
in the sheet. I can paste it.
Perfect. Great. Yeah.
That's the link. So I think this is based on deployments. This is for deploying the website.
I see. So this view deployment takes you to the deployment.
I think this is GitHub Pages specific. There may be something more generic, not just pages.
Yeah, I think it's something like the status checks that we have in notification controller. This one. Except specifically for deployments.
Possible. Usually they contain like all your CI checks, but maybe when you merge to the main branch, it also shows you the status of a deployment.
Yeah, that makes sense. I just want to do something with this issue because it's the oldest. So I want to give them a nice polite reply and make sure that it's not the oldest as soon as we fix the status bug. So this is weird too, because this one has a reply, but it didn't count for GraphQL. Maybe that's because it's a reply before it was moved to discussions, but I don't know. So maybe these are useful as preview environments. Okay. Well, that's something. Well, these are not really discussions that have never been responded to. I'm not sure if this is really going to work the way I wanted it to. We can still go through them, but see how far we have to go to get one that really is unresponded. Maybe we want to look at the code that I used to find the updated date and see if that makes sense or not on a second read. Whoops, that's the GraphQL schema. So there's an updated date column here. And I thought last edited at would be a good candidate, but maybe that is not. All right, last edited at. And the whole schema is in this file. And it's in camel case. Okay, it's the moment the editor made the last edit. So replies maybe.
Edit sounds like it's the actual editing of some existing thing.
Yeah, so I think I want to find the newest reply. And if there's no reply, then it's as old as it's as stale as the age. That's what I want. So, all right, I think I know how to fix that at least, but maybe let's move on to issues for now, because I don't think that problem is in issues. And we can definitely get issues that were unresponded. Huh. So I guess I want things that have this date equal to that date, like this one. Yeah. Have you worked on Go Get Providers at all?
No,
No?
I've just seen the repository. I don't know what it is about.
I'm going to skip over those because I don't know enough about it. Tool or library for inclusion in CLI for adding setter markers. Oh,
I have a feeling this was, or something similar was, oh no, this is setter marker in the image automation. Okay, this is something someone can implement.
yeah. So rather than having to go in and I think I have a setter here. We don't need to look at one.
It's a property in the image update object, right? So I think this is about creating some helper for setting those values.
Yeah, we should look at one. So I think I have actually it's in apps Helm release. I've got one on my Helm release here. So these guys. And I think that the issue is you want to be able to find all instances of this image and make sure they're all within a subpath. That sounds difficult to implement because you might have different image update automations in different areas. And does that mean you want to do different things with those different paths? It seems like there would be a tool for this already, except it's not likely to have this feature, you know, to be able to add a comment of arbitrary structure.
I think this is more of development. No need to do anything.
Just because
But this was created
one of the
last
other
year.
issues. Yeah.
It's possible that we already have something like that. in the image automation repository, I see there are some functions for adding these setters. So maybe the solution would just be put them into a single package.
Cool.
And
There's already something for adding setters.
I see some functions. Like
Cool.
replace markers and set something. And
Where was that? This one. Okay. Lost my place. Flux pull request merge policy. Another old one. I'm just going to assign this to me because I have a task open to update the community page, and the contributing page is close enough.
do we have a contributing document in all the repositories today?
There is a contributing doc in the main repo. Oh, this is Flux repo. This is the wrong one. So do we have a similar doc in the Flux 2 repo, or did it move to a central community health? Yeah, okay, it's the same document here for the most part. Looks like the same document. I have to add not only I have to add something about the bug scrub to the community page too. That's been missing because we had this issue with the community page where one of the links was splayed out and like parsed incorrectly. And I thought that meant that it was actually not being updated because I couldn't find a document that matched what it was actually displaying. But it turned out it was some kind of weird import generation thing. This is the community page, by the way. Community page. And this is the link that was bad, and now it is not bad. So that's cool, but we should really have something about the bug scrub on this page too. And generally speaking, I think just to answer the question about this, I think that our policy is to squash merges generally, right? If there's more than one commit, unless they really need to be separate.
That's my understanding, right? If the changes are properly separated, then merge them normally. But if there are like multiple commits which are not separated properly, then squash merge.
In general, if you have a commit that has a subject line of I tried this, and it didn't work,
then you
along the
should
way,
squash.
those should all be squashed. Yeah.
I think we should first ask the person who created it to squash it. If they cannot, then squash merge. I saw an issue recently. Someone created a PR sometime back, and somebody asked them to rebase or squash things, and the PR was stuck for a month maybe because the person didn't know how to do that.
Yeah,
Have you seen that?
It's one of those things that it's just not easy for everyone. It seems really easy to me after having done it 100,000 times, but I know people who have had problems with that, and I know I've had that issue in my previous life as a Ruby dev, that it's just not something everyone can do. But I don't think it's really that hard to learn. I
That's exciting.
always trip over the thing where I have to explain to them how do you have to, how do you decide which rebase to use? Because pull rebase is usually the easiest thing, but if pull rebase fails, you might be better off just aborting and using what is it called? It's like the cherry pick of rebase onto. That's what I meant. So you pick the branch that you want to rebase, and then you pick the base as you see it now and the new base that you want, and you put those commit hashes in the rebase command with onto between them. So it's rebase this base onto that base. And it works great more often than not, I think. But then you can also have issues if you had merges and you want to preserve them. You have to explain how to use preserve merges, and then you have to make sure they actually have an up-to-date Git version, because the best preserve merges is rebase merges. It's only available in really recent Git versions. So by the time I get to that part of the explanation, their eyes have completely and totally glazed over, and I wind up doing it for them. Source controller artifact status remains unchanged when spec changes. So this looks like something that's going to change. Or
I think it's the refactor will fix this, my guess is. This is from 2020. It's also possible it's already fixed.
right, yeah, that's great. And I've got feedback from the maintainer team that bringing these old issues up at a trickle is really the best way to get them closed. So I think this is one that they're probably going to say, we're going to just close this as soon as the refactor is done, because we'll have more detailed status conditions that can report on intermediary states of doneness.
The time is 8:30 a.m. There's one entry for today. At noon. It's time to start your workday. Have a great day.
Oh, Google, thanks for cheering me on. I'm always afraid I'm using the wrong, it's expression. There's a particular expression, status conditions. It's not status conditions, is it?
Status condition. Is there anything else?
I think that's probably a good update.
Do you think we should collect a list of such issues which can be closed after the refactor?
Yes, probably.
Like
We
any
should probably
special tag?
tag them to. That's cool. We should probably tag them to the issue so that they can at least be found. when that one is closed. Do you know where the root issue is? Is it in the Flux 2 repo?
In the Flux Story, there is a controller standards issue, I think, that is tracking all these. A new standard created by Scott. No, not this one.
Not this one.
There is a checklist of different
That
things to do.
Yeah, 1602. Okay.
Oh, right.
That way, at least we can get back to it. Keybase teams. Do we actually have Keybase team?
This is an encrypted messaging product, right?
Yeah,
Is it still active? I thought Zoom bought the company.
oh, they bought it, but yeah, Keybase is still around. It's a really nice tool that you can use to publish proofs of your identity and centralize them.
I
And
used it.
yeah, it's very nice. And I have a Keybase team for another open source project that I'm on that has 0 activity. But that's probably a reflection on that project and not Keybase or the usability of Keybase.
Usually, what's the channel for communication in CNCF for security related things?
I think we use Slack pretty much. I think that's the easiest way for people to get in touch with us generally. But we also tell people not to DM maintainers, and I think that's what this is about addressing, is that there should be a channel for things that need sensitive handling to get to the maintainers. But just ask if it's active. GitHub doesn't return private user repos. Oh, more Go Git providers. Let's look at this one. I'm interested. Do you know if Bootstrap uses Go Git providers or if it uses another mechanism to get to the, I don't feel qualified to even comment on this issue if I don't have the answer to that question. Support SSH cloning.
I have seen, is this related to testing? In general, does Flux work with SSH cloning?
Yeah, generally it does, but I've seen some weird things, not specifically what this user is reporting, that if I try to bootstrap against an HTTP repo, it munges it into an SSH connection, which is actually the opposite of what this person is.
Because this is in the PKG repository, package repository, I have seen some issues in the test Git server, and it made me feel like it doesn't support SSH cloning, the test Git server at least.
the test git server is an SSH? Is that what you said?
That's what I feel. I'm still to others and find out from what I have read, it feels like there is lack of support for credentials when you're trying to do SSH cloning. It still uses HTTP password or authentication for any authentication with the Git server. That's my understanding. I mean,
So this is still an active issue, even though Flux Bootstrap does use.
you can ask them like, this is since it's in the package repository, to which specific sub package is it pointing to? Does that make sense? Like there is a test Git server. Is it talking about that? There is a Git sub package as well, which has a provider for GitLab, GitHub, could be related to that. But there is a, can you open the repository?
Yeah.
The package repository. There is a Git sub package, right? Then there are two providers, GitHub and GitLab. It could be related to that.
Neat.
I think it is related to this. And SSH. I don't see any mention of SSH in it, but I see mention of HTTP in this.
Include skip CI in the default commit message. Looks like this one should be closed. Oh, maybe not.
Default commit message, does it mean we already have it by default? Default commits by Flux will have this tag.
Yes, and I don't know if there is any reason to not make it the default.
It's not an opt-in. It feels like this should be like an opt-in thing. Like for different CI providers, they may have a different keyword.
Yeah, we have some examples here.
I see, no CI script.
So image automation does have some facilities for like this, for setting the message. but I don't know if they are fit this use case or not. Message template. Looks like this is addressed by message template to me.
The issue was created last year, so
Yep.
possible that it's already fixed.
We think this can be closed then, right?
I'm not sure if it can be closed. It's possible that the intent is to have something by default.
Might be a breaking change for some users at this point. Okay, we can keep it open. Non-GitHub example for Terraform provider. Create a null resource that makes the commit when the manifests files change. I would really like to know more about Terraform. In fact, I actually considered rapid fire adding Terraform to my KubeCon talk that's coming up next week, Wednesday, because the subject is all declarative Jenkins, which is normally a really point and click operation. But I'm not using Terraform, so I still have a little bit of imperativeness in my whole startup routine. As I create my cluster, I have to run Flux Bootstrap, and those things have to be done in order. And so it's not totally declarative. And I thought I should really use Terraform too, make it actually totally declarative. But that really doesn't have much to do with this issue. So I guess let's scan the docs real quick and just see if there appears to be one. Maybe this is already taken care of. I see GitHub, GKE GitHub, multi-environment, still only GitHub. And yeah. Oh, okay, I understand now. So this is actually a facility for getting a file committed to the repo, and it only exists in the GitHub provider. Hmm. Incorrect state and health check event. Well, that would be surprising if it was still an issue after all the changes the customized controllers gone through.
You can look at the bottom. Looks like Stefan referred to this recently.
Oh, great.
The server-side applied.
Cool. Well, then we don't need to do anything and we can give it a medal. Hmm. Oh, cool. I haven't really worked with the GitHub package registry before. I don't think I've even seen a page like this. So these are all container images, right?
Mhm.
Cool. Do you know if
Do
there
you
are
know-
end-to-end tests in Image Reflector anymore? Or now at this point?
No, but I have seen references like Stefan mentioning we should add end-to-end tests. I was wondering what kind of end-to-end tests this customized controller have. Looks like it's mostly GitHub Actions based.
Yeah, I believe that is the case. I've definitely been in here before. Is there a specific group marked end-to-end? Oh, this is the whole end-to-end file. Okay.
And in case of image reflector, there's no such action for testing. Maybe that's what he meant.
Yeah, yeah.
Creating. So my guess would be, so this is end-to-end in the sense you build the image when you see and start, push it somewhere and create a Kubernetes cluster, use that built image in your test, and you use GitHub Container Registry for pushing and pulling.
Yeah, and what he's alluding to here is the rate limits I see all the time in the Flux V1 tests that do use Docker Hub. If I run them too frequently, then we get rate limited.
Maybe I'll work on this after a few weeks. I'm already working on the image reflector.
Cool. This sounds pretty straightforward. I just don't know how to do it myself, but I would be interested to look at it with you, because writing end-to-end tests is something I think I should be skilled at. I have lots of, like I said, lots of testing background from Ruby. I just don't feel as strong with Go yet.
I'll just subscribe to this issue.
Okay, platform agnostic bootstrapper. Provide a bootstrapper that just assumes it should connect to some Git server while making use of the local SSH agent. I think that we have this already, unless platform means
It's from
something different.
June 2020. Really old.
It's Flux Bootstrap Git generic, or is it just Flux Bootstrap Git? Just want to refer to the actual, yeah, we've got one here. There might be something in one of these bullet points. But I think it does all that. A dedicated package per command. Wow, it looks like there were a lot of PRs merged related to this request. And they stopped in April, so I wonder if this is finished. Refactor global variables into structs. Refactor flux get commands to use the generic adapter. Do you know anything about this CLI?
Nothing specific to this, but I have seen, my observation is like everything is under one package, and it would be better to move them into separate packages.
The Flux package here.
CMD Flux packaging. And I think that will enable us to test things better. May not be true about testing. I see there have been some new test infrastructure recently, which may enable testing the way it is today.
So do you think that this is still ongoing?
I think it's still ongoing.
Cool. Health assessment for all resources of a given kind. Oops.
Seems to be related to server-side apply.
Yeah, have you been able to try out the server-side apply yet?
No, not yet.
It's pretty neat. The latest thing I saw was there's a new weight flag that's been added to the customize API. So the thing we've been saying that we promise is that now, so because of server-side apply, you'll be able to just health check everything. I think they added the weight flag so that that is opt-in behavior, so that it won't be a breaking change for anyone. So you actually have to tell it to wait, but you don't have to tell it about every resource. And so this issue is addressed because they want to health check every resource of a certain kind, and they can health check every resource across the board. I wonder if that does address it though. If they might have resources mixed together and some of them they don't want health checked. I'm not going to open that door, but and we're about out of time. Might have time for one more. Must take into account these scenarios. Designed for authentication with image registries. Oh, this is a big one.
I saw that Google has a Go package for dealing with this. I thought that solved this problem.
Really?
Maybe no, I don't know. I saw that the image reflector is using that package from Google that handles all the interactions with different registries. Maybe I need to confirm.
Is it any of these things that are mentioned already, or? I don't see anything like that.
There's a GitHub repository called Go-Container Registry under GitHub, Google GitHub Container Registry. Yeah, this one. This is being used in image reflector.
Cool. Thanks for pointing that out.
So my guess is this would solve most of the problem, maybe. I don't know. But it's possible that each of the registries, they have their own implementation. The ECR has its own things.
So the question is, does this library only solve part of the problem, or does it help at all?
Part of the problem?
I mean, the general problem of authentication with image registries.
I think that will still be a problem.
Yeah.
I have a feeling each of the vendors, they have to add support for their registry in this package. I see Google has added for its own container registry.
That's a good reply. Okay, and with that, we can draw the bug scrub to a close today. Thanks for joining, and see you next time.
Bye.
Have a good day.